Oh, what is going on, everybody?
Oh,
it is Pixelmongers here.
Find him, just say hello.
And welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. When we left off, we have started a new case. And we are over here dealing with, thankfully, no one's been murdered yet this time. It was probably attempted murder or something. Because we still did we even get the case details, really? I don't think we did. He just kind of said it was like, oh, it's cut and dry case. And he's twitching out in the prison. And so we have Twitchy McGillicuddy over here, and we're going to go talk to him.
Twitchy McGillicuddy.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
So,
do pardon me, but might you be Japanese?
Good heavens! This is... Heavens above, bless me!
well then.
That was pure anime fuel right there.
Yes.
I do sincerely apologize for that loss of composure earlier.
Don't worry about it. It did surprise me a little, though.
Oh, God!
However, a year has passed since I left. You think such a situation would transpire in a far-off land? The words of my fellow brethren penetrate my heart upon our meeting at the depths of hell. Oh, flood of emotions!
What in the world?
This is the next client Lord Chief Justice Vortex spoke of. I can't believe that it's a Japanese person.
My gratitude to the motherland. After all, home is where the heart is. For the sake of one mere exchange student, she dispatched one first-class attorney. Praise the motherland!
A first-rate attorney? It looks like there's a huge misunderstanding here.
In any case, would you be willing to tell us your story, good sir? For example, we'd like to know about your arrest as a suspect.
Of course, with pleasure. Jumping up for joy.
What? Jumping up for joy.
Jumping up for joy!
I was gonna say, he's acting like a freaking game show host
yes.
in Japan. You know how they're all like super over enthusiastic and very animated, like with their bodies? Well, this guy.
For real.
I don't quite understand what he's saying, but he seems happy.
Yes, he does. Let's hope his trust is misplaced. And please make your acquaintance. I am Ryunosuke Naruhodo, an attorney.
Ryunosuke. You said Nusuke.
Oops.
As for me, I'm Suzutomi Kotoba. I'm his legal assistant.
I am an exchange student sent to Great Britain from the Empire of Japan. Soseki Natsume is my name.
Wait, you're an exchange student?
Soseki Natsume?
Soseki Natsume, was it? That's an interesting name.
Well, you see, I'm quite fond of writing haiku. You can think of it as a pen name, I suppose.
A pen name, huh? That's where you're taking a different name for an authored work, right?
Wow, you know something. Yes, that is generally the case.
That is not all there is to it. There's a kind of refined elegance to the title.
In any case, I have to say that hearing about haiku makes me feel like I'm back in Japan.
That reminds me. Earlier you said you were an exchange student, correct?
Huh? Yes, the Japanese government sent me here 1 year ago to study the English language. I had no choice but to comply. But look at the situation it has put me in. They've ruined me!
You had no choice? I mean, you didn't want to participate in the exchange?
That's not quite true. I've always wanted to visit the British Empire.
Huh.
However, it was a ridiculous demand to begin with, and even more so coming from the government.
What exactly do you mean?
Asking me to study English literature would at least be within the realms of my field. But to study the English language, I've not even an idea where to start. Simply absurd!
Uh-huh.
I love him. He's just like, uh-huh.
In fact, the other day, I received a directive asking me to report my progress this past year. Because of their sheer nerve, I submitted a blank sheet of paper in response. That will show them!
You must be rather the important person to be able to do that.
Oh, yes! People often tell me that.
You said it so proudly. Do we know your age or anything yet? I don't even know if we... 33. So he's not that old. He's
No.
just there, but fuck it. This is the voice I'm going with. I'll imagine that this day in prison has done harm to him.
He looks older than
Suspect.
33.
He does. It's the stash. That's you.
I know, I was looking at his stash.
Yeah.
So what suspicions were you arrested under?
I had no hand in it. I would never be able to commit such an atrocious act as murder.
Murder?
Oh, that's right. She didn't actually die. She was stabbed with a dagger right in front of me.
Right in front of you. Then does that mean you saw the culprit?
Oh boy, he's doing that again.
I did not.
Huh?
If I did, I would not be in such a predicament right now.
Which means the situation here isn't so simple.
Of all places, why'd she go out of her way to get stabbed right in front of me?
What?
That's right, it must be all due to the curse of these London spirits. Oh, you damn pests!
So despite him being present as it happened, he didn't see the culprit.
In any case, we should ask him for more details on the incident.
Okay, so what happened?
It had just stopped snowing. The streets of that cursed night were shrouded by fog. I was on my way back to the cursed flat after making my cursed purchase at the bookshop.
Cursed purchase.
It looks like he's cursed in all sorts of ways.
There's but one other individual walking in front of me along that cursed road. She was wearing a green overcoat. When I was about to pass her by, it happened. She suddenly let out a short cry and then she collapsed onto the cold ground.
Oh my god, how terrible!
I begged her to speak, but she would not open her mouth to respond. The scent of death.
But she isn't dead.
Terrified, I seized the first opportunity to flee from the cursed scene. At full speed, mind you, back to my cursed flat.
That might not have been your best decision.
As Japanese man, I should probably be ashamed for what I did.
By the way, did you happen to know the victim at all?
Not in the slightest. I am not acquainted with any blonde Brits, let alone young women. It seems to you fail to understand just how much I managed to keep myself open in a flat.
I see. So the victim was a young woman. By the way, besides the two of you, was anyone else walking along the footpath?
Unfortunately, I did not catch sight of anyone other than that woman.
What? No one else was there?
The victim was a complete stranger and there was nobody else present. If that's really the case, then this is quite curious.
Huh? What about it was curious? Obviously he did it.
Naruhodo!
Susudo, what did you mean by quite curious?
There's just something about Soseki's story so far that doesn't add up. The victim was a complete stranger to him and there was no one else at the scene. Furthermore, he ran away from the scene so that nobody would see him.
Indeed.
But if that's the case, that means Susuke must be the culprit.
Susuke?
Or Soseki. Sorry, I forgot his...
His name is weird.
What did you just say?
Nothing? I didn't say anything.
I should have known.
Oh my god.
I should learn to keep my mouth shut.
Yes, you should. And you need to talk when you need to talk also. You need to just have better control of your mouth in general. It's not... Will you please be quiet?
Sorry.
It's not quite what I was getting at. I am going to hit you. I was curious about how exactly Soseki managed to get arrested.
Huh? I got death stare.
Soseki made no contact with the victim, and there was no one else at the scene. How, then, did Scotland Yard track him down?
Oh, she's right.
Oh my god.
It was him. Thanks to that man's cursed great deduction, I ended up getting arrested. Why must I suffer this shame?
Cursed? Great deduction. No way.
I remember that man's name until the day I die. He called himself a great detective, then laughed at an unforgettably obnoxious laugh.
Yeah, that's him.
Be gone, cursed soul.
Ah, yes.
Thee Sherlock Holmes, I'll curse you until the day I die.
And he's just laughing.
Yeah.
It really was him.
Yes, come back. I miss you. Mr. Holmes?
The Sherlock Holmes.
The music has changed. You hear it?
Yeah.
We haven't heard this in a while.
I never would have guessed we'd hear his name here.
After I escaped that nightmarish scene, one cursed night passed. While I was gnawing on my hard French bread, several men suddenly stormed into my room. We're from the yard. Drop that weapon this instant. No matter how hard it may have been, who would call French bread a weapon? Spartan lifestyle.
Oh, God.
Oh,
You've had quite a rough time, huh?
this man.
And there he stood in the middle of all those detectives with that blindingly wide grin. And his name was none other than the Sherlock Holmes.
You know, I actually don't think "the" is part of his full name.
Afterwards, I learned that he's the greatest detective in London.
I suppose that's where the great detective comes from.
With his all too clever deductions, he managed to pinpoint where I lived. Then he had the nerve to accuse me, a frail hunchback man with a knife-wielding maniac.
I wonder what kind of amazing great deduction he came up with this time.
Yeah. I must ask, though. Were you arrested solely due to Mr. Holmes' great deduction? Even that would have been too heavy-handed for that lot.
Well, to be honest, when they stormed into my room that morning, confusion took me.
Why, of course. That's only natural.
They interrogated me with their fast, difficult English words, and I stood and trembled. Cowardly Brit!
Cowardly.
Whoops. Well, this is the British Empire after all. Of course they speak English.
I began to panic, but I knew I had to respond to verbal assault. So I simply responded with, "Yes, I do, and I'm fine," again and again. Before I realized that I had been handcuffed and thrown in here.
Well, I would have probably thrown you in jail, too.
What a guy. Oh, boy.
Oh, Ryu, we couldn't have said it better
Master
ourselves.
Naruhodo!
Oh, God.
Just Naruhodo is fine.
Excuse me. Since I've been taken over by British culture. Am I understanding you'll accept my case and defend me? Is it true? It's too good to be true. Is it permissible for you to believe it is truth?
Well,
Why? Why has the cat got your tongue?
really, I'm just an exchange student. I'm the same as you, Soseki.
You're an exchange student?
I've stood as an attorney in the Great British Courts once, but what am I supposed to believe in? What guides my struggles in these foreign courts? I haven't come to understand that yet.
Naruhodo.
So is that a no?
And even worse, I'm not a proper law student in the first place. I'm a substitute at best.
Is that a maybe? but that armband, that's proof that you're a Japanese attorney, no?
This is a memento of the man I'm imitating. He was my best friend. My partner.
Memento? Mori? Goodness. Oh, that's why I'm in here. I'm shaking. I can't handle it. I am well aware. I'm well aware of what they all say about me.
What do you mean by they?
The ghosts. None of those British attorneys care to defend me.
Why not?
You two are right. The footpath where the crime occurred was empty save for the victim and myself. Worse, even I fled the scene. I can't help but think that I must be the culprit. I know that.
Soseki?
And above all, I am an exchange student. I am nothing but a suspicious foreigner to this great British Empire. A trial for him? What a waste of time. Undoubtedly, that horrid Asian did the deed. All those attorneys stood before me and laughed at me as if it was a cruel joke. He won't understand half of what we say anyhow. But I knew.
That's awful.
I've cited this more fervently than any of those stuffy big-city policemen. I've crossed the very seas to show my reverence and my desire to learn this enduring language.
Language.
I'm still learning. But nary a soul is willing to lend an ear to a poor, hunchback foreigner.
I'm still learning.
At
This is the
least.
perfect character for you.
I'd be overjoyed to entrust my fate to a fellow countryman who would know the one who knows my plight. Yet I dare not thrust it upon you, force you to bear an unbearable burden. When I looked into your eyes, I can see the many burdens you have already placed on yourself.
Soseki.
Or it could be Soseki. I'm not sure.
Well, based on... You have a good point, because when he did his thing, he does speak in syllables.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. I'm sure we'll know in the comments.
In the comments will tell us.
Yes.
Yeah. Or I could just look it up afterwards.
I need some time to think about this.
So if we're saying it wrong, bear with us, people. We will change it in the next episode.
Yes. I'll just call him So.
So
First I'll try to do whatever I can right now.
What does that entail?
we intend to investigate this incident in intense detail from this moment forth. We hope to find some sort of lead and use it to help you in some way.
Very well. I'll be waiting for you, substitute law student Naruhodo!
Let's proceed with our investigation, Naruhodo. The game is afoot.
But what about its hands?
Oh my god.
Or its toes? Alright, let's head to Briar
Also, I
Road.
saw in the comments that someone said that that's also pronounced
Jail.
Jail.
That's how we're supposed to pronounce it, apparently. Weird
And I don't know why
British
it's
Empire ways.
spelled that way, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe say, oh, we're going down to the jail. Anyways, Briar Road.
Jow. Going
Jail.
to jail.
Going to the jail. Alright, 19th February, Briar Road. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That bike is fucked up. And it's gone.
I really want to see Sherlock again.
He's the snowman. This is Briar Road.
You
the scene of the
never know
crime.
with him.
No.
You really don't. Take a look over there, Naruhodo. I'd recognize those uniforms anywhere. There's no mistaking that helmet-like cap. It's Scotland Yard. The Yard's policemen are all conducting their investigation.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what policemen do.
Listen, you. Of course, they're the Scotland Yard, you know. I've admired them since I saw an illustration of them in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Yes, I do love these steel helmets.
Huh? You only care about their helmets?
Oh, if only I could don that helmet. Don't you want to just try it on?
I hope you get to experience that cold metal.
You're not Sherlock.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the voice I gave
What are
him.
you doing? It was like your version of my judge, but not old.
What are you doing over there, Japanese children?
Yep. Oh, it's Inspector Gregson.
You should vaguely aware by now. But you're not on a sightseeing trip here.
Well, we know. We are investigating the crime scene.
No, so it looks like you went to the jail. I almost said it out of innocence. That must mean that you met the culprit.
He is not the culprit. He's only a suspect.
Tomatoes. I suppose you're just trying to help out a fellow Jap, eh? Well, you're free to do as you like. It's not my problem. You won't be able to change the results of the trial anyway.
It's like he's trying to freeze us all with his cold aloofness.
I'm sure you can blame London's freezing cold winter for that feeling.
I don't think that's right.
Do you remember his voice now?
Yeah. Also, I'm trying to remember when it started. I don't know if it was in this game or if it was in one of the investigations, but they've almost turned the blue text into more of like a murmuring to yourself text instead of actually self-thoughts.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, I've noticed, especially in this game, Naruhodo's done it a few times, but Susato will respond to it directly, and I'm like, is she reading her brains?
Well, I mean, that's happened in the old games, too.
At least in the original Phoenix Wright ones, it didn't happen very often.
But it happened occasionally. Like, Maya would pick up on something that Phoenix, quote-unquote, thought.
Yeah, I wish there's a way that they would separate, like, what is internal dialogue versus, like, external mumbling in a different way.
Yeah.
Because, like, there would be times where, like, investigations, you know, Edgeworth would be thinking in the blue text, and then you'd have the whole K stealing his thoughts thing.
Yeah.
So, it's a little weird thing. But anyways, do I want to talk to you?
Okay.
I don't know if I want to talk to you.
I miss
you, girl.
Kay and Edgeworth.
All Alright, let's talk to you about Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard.
Yeah, that.
Ever since I laid eyes on its illustration in Mr. Holmes' novels, I've dreamed of visiting it.
Scotland Yard is the world's most capable police force.
It's been a lifelong dream of mine to wear one of their iron helmets.
You even have to admit, when I see a guard wearing one of those helmets, I can't help but feel like that image practically screams, this city is under my protection.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. She's way too excited.
Well, Scotland Yard is actually much more labor-intensive than it looks.
Is that true? No, he's just telling a
Take
lie.
early mornings, for example. First, our constables have to run around the city, walking up all the workers, waking up all the workers. What, you mean everyone in the city? Knocking people's windows with a long rod. I had to do it too a long time ago.
That's quite something.
All of our work is for London citizens. It's only natural. After that, our constables start patrolling their beats. They take no breaks until the day's done. That's even a quarter of how long they have to walk. 20 miles a day.
Jesus.
I have no idea how long that really is, but I'd imagine it's quite the distance. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Let's see. It would be about the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama if you were to walk on foot.
I feel like that kind of trek would make me feel like more of a wreck.
You're already a wreck,
Once it gets
Naruto.
dark, another important job is to light all the gas lamps.
My.
And between all that, you have to investigate the odd case once in a while, right?
Not to mention they occasionally have to chase down lawbreakers.
I'm not sure I like how you're making those duties sound like side jobs. Anyway, that's how it is. Some of our men have even collapsed during their shifts. But that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I've always looked up to those iron helmets, but now... Perhaps Naruto deserves more of the honor of wearing one, in my opinion.
I doubt I'd be able to handle something with so much weight riding on it. Right, about the incident. What do you know? Crime was committed 2 days ago at 5 p.m. It was on that open road over there. It was at the victim, a young woman, was stabbed in the back with a knife. Lady is still unconscious being treated at this time. Is that correct? Well, exactly call her a lady. But yes, until she wakes up, she won't even be able to we won't be able to identify her with any certainty. Which means we won't be able to request the victim's testimony.
Maybe I wouldn't call her a lady.
There's my thing. Take it if you want. Hey, you'd give this to us? Top policy to give the culprits the minimum information necessary. I still haven't agreed to be Soseki or Soseki's attorney.
Yeah.
But okay.
Since he was so kind to offer, we should take it.
Map the scene has been filed into the court record. Alright. Well, either way, at the time there was nobody else at the scene other than the victim and the Japanese man. There's no debating who the culprit is. I believe Soseki himself said that he didn't see anyone else around as well.
But even if Soseki said that he didn't see anyone, that doesn't mean that the culprit couldn't be anyone else.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what it means.
What?
After all, they've already found a decisive witness who clearly saw the moment of the crime.
Ooh.
Is it seriously?
There's always a decisive witness.
And that decisive witness is always the true culprit.
Yeah. Oh, but there's two.
And there's two of them to boot.
They worked together. What?
The smoke's famous fog was still unusual. The Japanese picked a bad day for murder. So there are two witnesses. Oh, witnesses! Yay! So who exactly are these witnesses? They say that one of them is the most trustworthy witness in London. After all, he's a constable of Scotland Yard.
What?
A constable? This changes things a lot.
Yeah. A constable just happened to witness the incident taking place?
It's not that unusual. That's why the constables are here, after all. Do you think that maybe you could tell us more about this constable? Of course, you're free to ask anything you want. That's about trial, that is. Huh? Constable is absolutely going to be summoned by the court as witness. Think of it as an exciting prospect for tomorrow. Doesn't seem like he's willing to let us meet the witness.
No. The constable is the witness. As your legal assistant, I'm qualified to say that this will be very disadvantageous to us.
I don't think you have to be a legal assistant to figure that out. Oh, that reminds me.
What?
The one who found and arrested the suspect was Sherlock Holmes, right?
It was Holmes?
What's going on? I saw his face darken. Oh my god, there's so much you want to talk about. Number one, tomorrow's trial.
That Japanese man's going on trial tomorrow, right? I seem to be defending him.
Well, maybe tomato, tomato.
Whatever the case is, there's one thing I can say for sure. Here in London, no attorney was worth his salt to take that man's case.
Because the prosecutor's the Grim Reaper, right?
Your client is beyond saving now. You'd only be wasting your time by defending him. But there's one thing that strikes me as peculiar.
What?
What's that?
That old Deathbringer hasn't stood in court for a good few years.
Is that so? Yeah, you mentioned that.
How many prosecutes infamous criminals? Well, those who commit the most heinous crimes.
Infamous criminals?
Heinous crimes?
His past marks were all men who would be sentenced with death penalty.
But that's not the case this time.
You're right. That woman was stabbed, but her life remains intact. Can't imagine why he should show up in a small fry case like this.
I don't really agree with the phrase small fry.
Maybe he has some specific reason to do so. Maybe it's like he wants to get revenge on you for ruining his record or something.
Would you happen to have any idea what the reason may be?
Mere men can't comprehend the inner workings of the Grim Reaper's mind. You'll just have to ask for yourself when you get to court tomorrow.
So I'll have to face the Grim Reaper again.
But he also means just like, in general.
What do you mean?
Like he came back after a hiatus as of the McGundle trial. Not just this one. Because remember they mentioned that in the court.
Yeah, I mean, they were
The judge
saying
was like,
that,
oh, it's been a while since we've seen you here.
yeah, but I mean, when it came to the infamous criminals or slash bad things, it kind of made sense because he had issues with McGundle apparently.
That is true.
But this case, unless there's something bigger tying everything together, it wouldn't make sense for him to be going
Maybe
for
he's
this.
just interested to see how we tick.
Or there's some bigger mystery here. Holmes.
Holmes!
Hey, tell me who heard that name from?
Huh? Oh, it was Soseki who told us. He said Mr. Holmes stormed into his room with a bunch of yard officers.
It must have been another one of his great deductions at work.
Don't be ridiculous!
Eh?
That lousy amateur! He always poking his nose in everything! First, he catches one of the incident from some bumbling idiot and runs off into the crime scene. And seconds later, he's suckling the air, spewing incomprehensible nonsense. And before you know it, he suddenly solved the entire case.
That's impressive to say the least.
That's Sherlock. But isn't he an important asset to Scotland Yard?
Nonsense!
Beep.
Do you know what this is?
Yes, that's the Strand magazine.
It's the magazine that serializes the adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
And the ridiculous excuse for a novel of the detectives in the yard are just constantly being insulted by that great detective. In fact, I say they might as well call it the base writer of Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I do admit that it does occasionally come off as such.
We'll work as hard as we can, but because of him, we're a laughingstock. He's a terrifying threat not just to the criminals, but to the yard as well.
Are you sure you should be comparing Scotland Yard to criminals?
Seems like the great detective and the police have a pretty complicated relationship. Alright then. Looks like that's all the information we can get from the inspector.
Naruhodo, may I have a moment?
What is it, Susato? Your attitude changed all of a sudden.
This is just my opinion, but I think perhaps at this point we ought to see what our old friend has to say.
Old friend? By old friend, do you mean Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, indeed, I am unquestionably referring to Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, God.
We must go find him.
That twinkle in her eyes is Clearly excitement, unfortunately. As
Dude,
I
I'm in the
recall,
same boat as Suzuto right now. I want to go see him. I love him so much.
Didn't Soseki mention Mr. Holmes as well?
Yes, he did. He did indeed. And with that in mind, one could say he's related to this case as well. This is absolutely not my own self-indulgence.
But we don't know his address, so...
It's at Baker Street.
How did you know that?
See, it's written in this book. 221B Baker Street, the address of the world's most famous detective.
That's a book. He's not putting it... I see then. Shall we head over? You better get going before Susa's excitement rises to a fever pitch.
Now let us all call for a coach. Let's go.
Looks like we're meeting again sooner than expected.
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock.
And we're gonna meet Sherlock next time.
No, I want to meet him now.
Well, listen, we hit the 30-minute mark, so you're just gonna have to relax and hold on for 23 and a half hours.
No.
But you must. Patience, young grasshopper.
The boy,
Patience.
the great boy, man-child.
Oh, you.
He is.